My dad beat me and disowned me on my 18th birthday for yelling at my golden child brother, so I disappeared and made them regret it. Hi, I'm Mason, 24, and on my 18th birthday, my dad beat the hell out of me, disowned me, and told me I was a failure not worth celebrating for yelling at my golden child brother. So, I made them regret it. My 18th birthday was supposed to be my start line. The legal reset button. I'd been counting down since I was 15, each calendar X like a prisoner marking time. I didn't want a party. Didn't even want cake. I just wanted freedom. The power to leave without them dragging me back. No more silent dinners. No more watching my younger brother get praised for breathing while I got torn apart for existing too loud. We lived in a picture-perfect suburb, the kind where every house looks like it belongs in a brochure. 2 stories, navy blue shutters, a porch swing that squeaked in summer. But inside? That house felt like a punishment I never earned. My mom was queen of image control, always smiling for neighbors, always pretending. And my dad? He was a ticking bomb with a yard obsession and a fuse made of pride. Then there was Kyle, my little brother, 2 years younger, 2 lifetimes more loved. Kyle got everything. A new phone every year, a private math tutor after flunking algebra, even a used car for his 16th birthday because he's working on being responsible. I got a lecture about saving money and a bus pass. Still, I kept my head down. I worked at the local feed store after school, stocked shelves, hauled 50-pound bags of grain. Saved every cent. I knew I wouldn't get help with college. My parents called it tough love when they really meant, we're saving everything for your brother. So when I woke up that Saturday morning, I wasn't expecting a parade. But I wasn't expecting to get erased either. I walked downstairs to find my dad tying a bow on a sleek black box on the counter while Kyle bounced around like he'd won a game show. My mom had the camera smile on. That's what I called it. The one she wore for church and strangers. Nobody looked at me. Kyle ripped open the box. Designer watch, brown leather band, brushed steel face. The kind of thing a man in a tailored suit wears to close million-dollar deals. Yo! This is insane. Kyle grinned. Now I don't have to borrow yours anymore, Dad. You earned it, my dad said, ruffling his hair. We're proud of you. I stood there, silent, waiting, for someone to look at me, for anyone to say, hey, happy birthday, Mason. Nothing. Don't look so bitter, Mason. My mom finally said with a tight smile. Life isn't about stuff. You'll understand that one day. Thought we were having cake. I said, voice small. Oh, we had some earlier. Kyle chimed in. While you were sleeping in. My chest tightened. You had cake without me? It wasn't a big thing. My mom said quickly. Don't make this dramatic. Kyle snorted. Your name wasn't even on it. Chill, dude. And that was it. The wire in my brain snapped. I didn't even think. I looked straight at Kyle and said, you're pathetic. You haven't earned a single thing in your life. You're just a spoiled knockoff wearing someone else's work. He blinked. What's your problem, man? You. This. Them. Everything. My mom's voice turned sharp. Mason, enough? But I didn't stop. You treat me like trash. Like I'm just some burden you got stuck with until your real son came along. That's when it happened. My dad moved like lightning. Grabbed my collar, slammed me into the fridge. My head bounced off the door so hard my ears rang. You're done, he growled. You hear me? You are nothing. A failure. A waste. I shoved him back with everything I had. His eyes widened like he'd just seen a ghost. He hit me twice in the ribs before my mom even screamed. And Kyle? Kyle just stood there, frozen, clutching his new watch like it was a shield. You're not welcome in this house. My dad spat. Get out. You are not worth celebrating. I wiped the blood from my lip, looked him in the eye, and said, good. Then I'm leaving. And I did. That night. Backpack. Bus ticket. $200 in saved tips. I disappeared. The first night was the hardest. I took a Greyhound out of town and landed in a city I'd only seen on weather maps. 2 hours south, no plan, no friends, just a bag, a hoodie, and a charger with no place to plug it in. I spent the night in a 24-hour laundromat. Nobody bothered me, probably because I kept my head down and pretended to wait on a machine. I was starving but scared to spend money, like every dollar was a breath I couldn't waste. I stretched a bag of trail mix across 2 meals and drank water from the janitor's sink. By morning, I was exhausted and filthy and full of adrenaline that had nowhere to go. I walked 5 miles to the library just for the outlets and a clean bathroom. Washed my face in the sink. Changed shirts. Sat at a computer and Googled cheap places to sleep near me. The answer was none. But I found a shelter run by a small Baptist church that offered meals and a cot, no questions asked. I walked there and signed in, heart pounding like I was committing a crime. The guy at intake didn't blink when I wrote "family issues" on the reason line. He handed me a thin blanket and pointed to a cot near the back wall. That was my home for the next 10 days. No windows. No privacy. But there were warm meals and clean clothes, and for the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I met a guy there named Tico, mid-40s, looked like he'd lived 3 lives already. Former roofer, now working security at a car lot. He gave me advice without asking questions. Said, "You're young. Use this like a pit stop, not a destination. You sleep, you eat, you plan." So I planned. The second week, I walked into a shipping warehouse 2 blocks from the library and asked if they were hiring. The supervisor, a thick guy with inked forearms and zero patience, asked me one question. "You break stuff?" "No, sir." "Show up tomorrow. 6 a.m., don't be late." And just like that, I was on payroll. $11.50 an hour moving pallets of medical supplies in a freezing warehouse with no heat, no music, and no mercy. It sucked. But it was mine. I worked 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts, came back to the shelter with blistered hands and a sore back. But I didn't complain. Not once. I had my own blanket by now. People noticed I always folded it when I left. The intake guy, the one who gave me the cot? He started leaving me sandwiches by my spot. Never said a word about it. After 2 weeks of clocking in early and hauling boxes like my life depended on it, because it did, the supervisor started treating me like a person. Said I could eat in the staff break room. Gave me old gloves from his truck. One night he even said, "You're not like most kids. You actually want this." That was the first time in my life someone said that to me. That I wanted something. Like I had drive. Like I mattered. I kept working. Saved every check. Got a prepaid phone. Filled out community college applications at the library during my breaks. Spring semester was still open if I moved fast. I was hungry for it. Not just food, but a reason to wake up. A name that meant something besides disappointment. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Tico. Especially not my parents. My last name was a curse I was trying to shed. But then the voicemails started. First my dad. Angry. Then confused. Then begging. "Just call us back, Mason. You made your point. Come home." I didn't. Because for the first time in my life, I finally was. 3 weeks into the job, I was sorting pallets when the floor manager came barreling down the aisle with his clipboard and it looked like something was on fire. "Mason!" he shouted. "Got a truck waiting and inventory's short. Get over to Dock 5. I sprinted. Not because I was scared, because I wanted to prove something. The shipment was a mess. Half the labels were wrong, the scanner was glitching, and the guy from the logistics desk was throwing a fit. I'd seen him before, always in a tie, always sweating. He snapped at everyone. "This system is trash. Where's Juan? I need someone who knows what they're doing." Juan wasn't in that day. And nobody else wanted to get chewed out. So I stepped forward. "I can help," I said. He looked at me like I was a stray dog that just barked English. You've been here 5 minutes. I've been learning the system. I know what's missing." I wasn't bluffing. I'd spent my breaks watching over Juan's shoulder, asking questions, picking up the pattern. It wasn't that complicated, just badly organized. The guy scoffed. "Be my guest, genius." So I took the scanner, pulled up the manifest, and found the issue in 3 minutes flat. A mislabeled inventory pallet had been sent to the wrong aisle. It wasn't missing, it was 3 rows down, mislabeled as PPE instead of surgical tubing. I rerouted the pick order, flagged the driver, and printed a fresh label. "Truck's good to go," I said, handing the scanner back. The guy blinked. "You ever worked logistics before?" I shook my head. "Nope. Just pay attention." 2 hours later, the floor manager pulled me aside. "Starting tomorrow, you're helping with inbound." Inbound meant data entry. Desk work. Not lifting boxes for 10 hours a day. It meant progress. That night, I walked back to the shelter feeling 10 feet tall. I'd come in with nothing, and in 3 weeks, I'd carved out a space they couldn't ignore. I used the library printer the next morning to print my class schedule, Intro to Business, College Algebra, and a 7:30 a.m. English Comp class that almost killed me. I was officially enrolled. Community college wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Every form, every fee, every late-night essay was mine. A week later, I ran into someone I hadn't seen since high school, Jason, a guy from chem class who once asked to copy my homework. He was at the coffee shop near campus, dressed like money, bragging about his business major and his internship with some tech startup in the city. Then he paused, recognized me. Mason? Holy crap, man. Thought you disappeared. Your mom told people you were in some, program? I raised an eyebrow. Program? Yeah. Like something to help you get on your feet. Thought it was rehab or something. Rehab. That was their story. That's when the switch flipped in my brain. Again. They weren't just pretending I hadn't left. They were rewriting the story. Painting me like some failure they tried to rescue. Probably made Kyle the hero in it, too. I didn't get angry. I got strategic. That night, I searched my parents' names on Facebook. Nothing public. But then I found Kyle's Instagram. Not private. Not even smart. His story was up. A photo of my old room, painted white, turned into a gaming lounge. Caption, finally cleared out the dead weight. Then a second post. Him in the mirror, flashing that designer watch, middle finger up. Caption, golden child wins again. I stared at that post for 10 full minutes. Didn't cry. Didn't flinch. I screenshotted it. Then I made a folder on my laptop. I named it, Receipts. The Receipts folder became my therapy. Every night after work or class, I'd sit at the campus library, headphones in, hoodie up, and dig. Screenshots. Public records. Social media scraps. Kyle made it easy. His Instagram was a goldmine of stupidity. One post, him bragging about having his girlfriend write his English essay. Another, a group chat where he joked about faking community service hours for college apps. A video clip of him telling his friends, I just copied Mason's algebra homework from senior year, and I still passed. Kid was good for something. Every one of them had a timestamp, a username, and just enough smug to make me want to punch the monitor. But I didn't. I saved them. Cataloged everything. Then I started digging into the house. Remember that perfect two-story with the porch swing and the white trim? Turns out it wasn't as pristine as they made it look on Zillow. Oh yeah, I found the listing. They were selling. Asking way too much for it, too. Desperate move. The photos were pure comedy. My old room? Beige now. Staged like a college kid's starter bedroom. Bonus room/study. The listing said. Not a single trace of me. Not one. No posters, no desk, no bed. Just a model room like I never slept there, cried there, bled there. I clicked through the photos again. Living room, kitchen, master bedroom, Kyle's room, untouched, of course. Posters still on the wall, shelf full of trophies. They hadn't boxed up a single thing. Then I noticed something else. In the garage, behind the new shelves and labeled bins, there were 3 plastic totes shoved in the corner. I zoomed in. One said holiday stuff. One said Kyle, keep. The last one said Mason, trash. That hit harder than anything else. Not the beating. Not the erasure. It was the label. Trash. That was who I'd been to them. Not a son. Not a problem. Just garbage. But here's the thing about trash. It's got value if you know how to recycle it. I pulled the property records next. Permits. HOA meeting minutes. Inspection reports from years back. You'd be surprised how much of that stuff is public if you know where to look. And there it was, 3 reported basement floods in 7 years. Some pump issues. Mold mitigation. Foundation cracks. All of it quietly patched, covered up, never fixed right. And guess what? None of it showed up in the new listing. Not a single mention of water damage or structural repair. Which, in real estate terms, is what you call fraud. Deliberate non-disclosure. Illegal. Potentially lawsuit-level illegal. So I did what any uncelebrated, disowned, allegedly trashed child would do. I started building a paper trail. I made a second folder on my laptop. This one was called Collapse. Because that's what I was going to do to their little empire of fake smiles and granite countertops. But I wasn't ready to move yet. Not until the timing was perfect. Not until I could burn it all down and walk away with a smile. 2 months after I started building my case, I got invited to speak at a college event for first-gen students. At first, I almost deleted the email, figured it was a mistake or one of those student spotlight things nobody reads. But then I read the fine print. It wasn't just a panel. It was the keynote. Me. The kid who used to shower at a truck stop and eat dollar store oatmeal in a parking lot. They wanted me on stage. To talk about perseverance, grit, rebuilding. I nearly said no. It felt too big, too exposed. But then I realized this was it. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. The orientation speech was scheduled for the same week the house was entering its final inspection phase. And if you know anything about real estate, you know that's the most delicate part of a sale. Buyers nervous, paperwork flying, one bad surprise away from backing out. Perfect. I'd been compiling my house documents for weeks. Permit violations, HOA drainage complaints, proof of mold treatment, and copies of old repair invoices listing temporary patch and quick fix in the descriptions. My dad had signed off on every one. Idiot left a digital footprint a mile wide. I formatted everything like a professional report. Clean, indexed, printed in color at the library. Then I dropped $40 to have it bound at Staples like a legal packet. But I wasn't mailing it yet. Because I had one more layer, Kyle. Remember that Instagram graveyard of academic dishonesty and faked volunteer hours? I organized the screenshots, blurred out unrelated names, and turned them into a neat little PDF. Labeled it Academic Integrity Concern, Evan Kyle, Application Materials. He was applying to 3 schools I could identify from his posts. I found the admissions integrity offices for all 3 and created anonymous emails for each. I didn't send the full file. Just teasers. 2 or 3 key screenshots with the note. This applicant has publicly admitted to plagiarism, falsifying service hours, and academic dishonesty. Please review before finalizing offers. It wasn't a smoking gun. Not yet. But it was enough to make someone ask questions. And questions are deadly to applicants skating on thin ice. Meanwhile, I kept showing up to work. Kept studying. Pretended like nothing was brewing. Until the day of the keynote. It was a Thursday. I woke up nauseous. Not from nerves, from clarity. I wasn't scared. I was ready. The auditorium was packed. Maybe 300 people. Students, faculty, parents. Local press. One of the deans introduced me with a warm smile. This is Mason Reed. He's a logistics student, works part-time, and carries a full course load. But that's not what makes him special. What makes him special is that he never gave up, when many would have. When I walked on stage, I saw camera phones go up. A few professors nodded at me. I cleared my throat, gripped the podium, and started with the one thing they'd never expected me to say in public. I don't have a family that supported me. You could hear a pin drop. I wasn't raised in a house full of encouragement. I wasn't told I could be anything. I was told I was a mistake. So I became a student out of spite. Out of defiance. And eventually out of belief in myself. I told the truth. Not the full horror story. Not the bruises. But enough. Enough for people to get it. When I finished, I got a standing ovation. But I didn't smile. Not yet. I went home, sat at my desk, uploaded the house packet to a flash drive, and addressed an envelope to the current buyer listed on public records. Inside, a typed note. This house has undisclosed flooding and foundation issues. Documents enclosed. Verify with your inspector. Or you will regret it. No signature. No fingerprints. Just facts. I dropped it in a random mailbox across town. And I waited. The first domino fell 3 days later. The house listing vanished from Zillow, poof. Like it had never existed. I checked twice, thinking maybe the site glitched. It didn't. Then I checked the realtor's site. Same deal. Pulled down. Status changed from pending, offer accepted, to temporarily off market. That was realtor code for, oh crap, the buyers found something. I waited exactly 1 more day before checking the county clerk's website. No transfer filed. No sale recorded. But a new document was posted, Notice of Inspection Delay Request. Translation? They were trying to buy time. Probably scrambling to explain to the buyers why their lovingly maintained home suddenly looked like a liability pit with water damage and a foundation that screamed lawsuit. 2 days after that, I got a text. Not from my parents. From the real estate agent. I didn't even know she had my number, but there it was. Hi Mason. This is Kendra Marks, representing your parents' home listing. I believe there's been some kind of misunderstanding involving disclosure documents. If you have information related to the property, I'd be happy to speak with you directly. I stared at it for a good 10 seconds before bursting out laughing in the middle of my shift. One of my coworkers thought I finally lost it. Nah, Kendra. No call today. You're about 6 years too late to start caring what I have to say. Next day, the agent deactivated comments on the listing's social media posts. Apparently, someone had screenshotted my keynote speech, posted it under their house photo with the caption. Funny how they forgot to mention the part where they disowned their first kid. Small towns move like that. Gossip spreads faster than mold in that basement they tried to hide. Then came the update from a former neighbor, Claire, who I hadn't spoken to since I was 16. She DM'd me on LinkedIn of all places. Hey Mason. I don't know the details, but I heard the buyers backed out after finding foundation problems. Your parents are livid. Kyle posted something cryptic on Instagram about fake people ruining lives. Just thought you should know. Also, your speech was amazing. I replied. Thanks. Yeah, sometimes karma's just really well organized. And speaking of Kyle, guess what happened next? Another LinkedIn message. From a former classmate who now worked as a part-time assistant in the admissions office at one of the colleges Kyle had applied to. He didn't say much, just, I saw the screenshots. Evan's file got flagged. They've opened an academic integrity review. Could take months. But yeah, good timing. Boom. That was 2 for 2. Their house, unsellable. Their golden child, under review. And I was still clocking in on time, acing midterms, and getting asked to join the Honors Society. It would have been easy to celebrate. Like really celebrate. Party post, rub it in. But I didn't. I just bought a $9 slice of triple chocolate cake from the fancy bakery downtown, took it home, lit a single match like a candle, and whispered to the universe. Happy birthday, Mason. You made it. I ate that entire thing sitting on the floor of my apartment, back against the wall, tears in my eyes. Not because I was sad. Because I was finally free. It had been nearly 3 years since I walked out that door, ribs bruised, backpack half-zipped, with nothing but $200 and a dream of never looking back. And yet, on a cold Tuesday evening in early November, there they were. Waiting outside my apartment building. I knew the car before I even saw their faces. Same silver SUV, same dent on the front bumper, Kyle swore. Came out of nowhere. They were standing on the curb like they were picking me up from soccer practice. My dad looked older, his hair thinner, his stance different, less confident, more tired. My mom. She had that church voice face on. The one she wore whenever she was about to lie in a way she thought sounded noble. I stopped 10 feet away, grocery bag in one hand, apartment keys in the other. You've got 30 seconds, I said. Use them wisely. Mason. My dad took a step forward, hands raised like he thought I'd bolt. We need to talk. No, I replied. You need something. That's not the same. My mom jumped in. We're losing the house. Her voice was strained, like she was trying to cry but couldn't quite squeeze a tear out. Your father lost work. Evan's school situation, he lost his scholarship. They're questioning his admission. It's all unraveling. I didn't say a word. We thought maybe. She continued. You could help. Just temporarily. We know you're doing well now. Your job, your school, we've heard. From who? I asked flatly. Silence. The people who always assumed you'd turn out fine, she said. We hoped we could start again. That line. Start again. Like we were some sitcom with a bad first season. I set the grocery bag down. Calmly. Deliberately. Then I pulled out my phone, opened my photo gallery, and held it up. A still frame from the keynote. Me on stage. Holding an award. Hundreds in the audience. My name in big bold font on the screen behind me. This is what I built without you, I said. This is who I became when you called me a mistake. When you beat me. When you forgot my birthday and handed a $300 watch to the golden child while pretending I didn't exist. My dad winced like I'd slapped him. We made mistakes, he muttered. We were under pressure. You don't understand what it's like. Oh, I do. I cut in. I understand what it's like to be 17 and terrified to breathe too loud. I understand what it's like to work 2 jobs and sleep in a church shelter because I'd rather be homeless than come back to a house where I was never wanted. My mom's voice cracked. Please, Mason. We're begging you. We've lost everything. Good, I said. Then maybe now you'll understand what it feels like to have nothing. We're still your family. She whispered. That has to count for something. I stared at them. Long enough that they started to squirm. Then I spoke clear and low. No. You were my family. And you made damn sure to end that the day you chose him over me. Every single time. They didn't respond. Couldn't. I picked up my groceries, brushed past them, and walked to the door. My dad grabbed my arm. Not hard. Just desperate. I stopped cold. Let go, I said. He did. And without turning back, I said the last words I'd ever say to either of them. You wanted me gone. Wish granted. Stay gone. Then I walked inside and shut the door behind me. The fallout didn't hit all at once. It came in quiet waves. A neighbor's text here. A forwarded email there. Each piece carrying more weight than the last. A month after I turned them away, the house officially entered foreclosure. I found the public notice posted in the county database, black and white, plain as anything. Delinquent loan balance. Auction date pending. Just like that, 20 years of image management and property tax obsession went up in smoke. Kyle didn't post much after that. His Instagram turned weirdly quiet. No more gym selfies. No more subtweets about being built different. Just a single story of a blank wall in a dorm room that definitely wasn't his top choice university. His caption? New start. No distractions. Translation? Lost the scholarship. Lost the admission. Probably barely scraped into a backup school, if that. I didn't feel good about it. But I did feel even. My parents tried reaching out a few times. A holiday card. A birthday text. A vague email from my mom saying, we'd love to reconnect when things settle down. Life's too short for grudges. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a soft, manipulative pitch to reel me back in. A plea wrapped in guilt. I didn't answer. I wouldn't. Instead, I got back to building the only thing I ever wanted, a life that was mine. I finished my degree with honors. The school offered me a full-time position helping run their logistics program, training students like me, who came in with chips on their shoulders and fire in their guts. I took it. Moved into a clean one-bedroom with working heat and a lease in my name. First place I'd ever lived that felt safe. I made friends who knew me as Mason, the guy who worked hard and made terrible microwave quesadillas, not Mason, the broken brother or the bitter son. And when I looked in the mirror at 24, I didn't see a mistake. I saw a man who refused to disappear. By the time I turned 25, I had more in my savings account than my parents had left in their dignity. Harsh? Maybe. But you'd be surprised how quickly consequences catch up when they've been dodging accountability their whole lives. I didn't have to lift another finger. The dominoes were already falling. I just watched them drop. Word got around our old town. Not because I told anyone. People just love a fall from grace story, especially when the main characters used to brag about how our Kyle's going to change the world. Now Kyle was answering phones at a call center and living in a shared apartment above a vape shop. I knew because someone tagged me in a job listing he posted, like fate had a twisted sense of humor. As for my parents? Last I heard, they were renting a condo in a not-so-nice part of town. My mom picked up part-time work at a consignment store. My dad delivered packages on weekends. You know how I know that? Because they applied for a loan using my name. Yeah. They tried to co-sign a private loan with my social, probably thinking the years of silence made me soft. The lender flagged it and contacted me to verify. I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. Just forwarded every voicemail, text, and email they'd sent since I turned 18 to the fraud department. Then I froze my credit, filed an alert, and moved on. They wanted a lifeline. I gave them a spotlight. 2 months later, I got a handwritten letter. From my mom. Neat cursive on flowery stationery. She always wrote like she was being graded. Mason. We don't know how it all fell apart. Your speech, the stories, it painted us like monsters. We were strict, but we loved you. I know you don't believe that. But it's true. We're struggling. Kyle's struggling. Your father isn't the man he used to be. I hope one day you'll find it in your heart to forgive. We miss you. I read it twice. Then I tore it in half. Because here's the thing about forgiveness, it's earned, not owed. And they never earned a second of mine. Somewhere around spring, I started getting stopped in hallways. Students I didn't know. Professors I'd never had. They'd recognize me from the speech or the article that had gone semi-viral on the school's site. One kid, sophomore in accounting, caught me outside the library and said, "Hey, I just wanted to say, your story? It's why I didn't drop out." I didn't know what to do with that. Still don't, honestly. I'm not used to being someone people look up to. For so long, I was the one trying not to be seen. But now I was visible. And I wasn't hiding anymore. I started mentoring 2 first-year students through a campus program. Both of them came from messy homes, both barely hanging on. One worked graveyard shifts at a warehouse just to cover rent. When he told me that, I nearly laughed, not at him, but because I knew that grind down to the blisters. I bought him coffee and told him what nobody told me. You're not broken. You're just in the middle of building. Outside of school, life got weirdly steady. I had a morning routine. A real one. Not survival. I woke up, made breakfast, answered emails for work, went to the gym, studied. I had group chats. Favorite takeout spots. A roommate who paid rent on time and vacuumed without being asked. One night we were watching some trash reality show when he turned to me and asked, "Dude, do you ever talk to your family?" I blinked. "You mean like my actual family?" "Yeah. Parents. Siblings. Whatever." I shrugged. "They sort of erased me." He nodded slowly. "So, you erased them back?" I smiled, just a little. "No. I outlived them." He gave me this look like he wasn't sure if I was joking. I wasn't. That's the thing people don't tell you about cutting off toxic family. It doesn't feel clean. It's not a one-time moment of peace. It's waves. Guilt. Doubt. Relief. Then guilt for the relief. But if I had the choice to go back? Take the watch back from Kyle, the bruises back from my dad, the erasure back from my mom? I wouldn't. Because the version of me that came after? He's the one worth knowing. By the end of summer, I got offered a full-time job running operations for a local startup that sourced medical supplies to rural clinics. It was run by 2 ex-nurses who knew nothing about logistics and everything about chaos. They'd heard about me through the college's career placement center. Apparently, someone had slipped them my name with the note. "This kid built himself from the dirt up. You want him." The interview lasted 20 minutes. The offer came that afternoon. I took it. It wasn't just the salary, though, yeah, that blew my mind. It was the trust. The fact that people with real skin in the game looked at me like someone who knew what he was doing. I was barely 25 and signing invoices, designing shipping systems, coordinating inventory workflows across 5 states. On the outside, it probably looked like a classic come-up story. But the thing no one saw? I still had that original flash drive in my desk drawer. Still had the receipts folder backed up on multiple drives. Not because I wanted revenge anymore, but because I'd learned something. People like them? They don't stop being toxic. They just go quiet when you have power. I knew deep down that one day they'd try again. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not even next year. But someday they'd show up with a fake smile and a desperate pitch, hoping I'd forgotten how to say no. And I'd be ready. Because I wasn't that kid anymore. I wasn't the one standing in a kitchen waiting for someone to remember his birthday. I wasn't the bruised mistake they could slap and shove and erase. I was the one holding the pen now. Writing the next chapter, not begging to be included in the last. So when I got an invitation to my high school's 10-year reunion, yes, that high school, I didn't laugh. I RSVP'd. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't a speech. It's walking in as the man they never thought you'd become. The reunion was held in the same high school gym where I once sat through assemblies wishing I could vanish through the floor. Now, I walked in wearing a tailored blazer, the good boots, and a confidence I'd earned by surviving things most of those people never even imagined. I wasn't flashy about it. Didn't roll in late or announce myself. I just showed up. Signed in. Took my name tag like it didn't feel weird to see Mason Reed printed in neat block letters under a high school mascot I used to resent. At first, no one recognized me. Then Jason, the same guy who once copied my chemistry notes and called me Discount Kyle, did a double take and practically choked on his plastic cup of fruit punch. Wait. Mason? I nodded. Yeah. Dude. No way. You look different. Yeah. I said. Turns out malnourishment and emotional trauma really do a number on your glow. He laughed awkwardly, unsure if I was joking. I wasn't. People came in waves. Teachers. Former classmates. A few of them were genuine, saying they'd seen the college article, the keynote, even the video that went mildly viral in our little town. One guy, Noah, played varsity soccer with Kyle, pulled me aside and said, "Look, I don't know what went down with your family, but we always knew something wasn't right. Kyle made it seem like you just dropped off the map." Yeah, I said. Maps are funny like that. Sometimes they leave out all the ditches. I never once brought them up. I didn't have to. People knew now. Even if they didn't know details, the cracks were visible. Kyle didn't show up. I wasn't surprised. He probably couldn't face walking into a room where I existed fully and without apology. Where I was the story everyone remembered. The gym was strung with dollar store lights and motivational banners still hanging crooked from 10 years ago. The snacks were bad. The music was worse. But I stayed. I let people see me. Really see me. And when the DJ called out a final song and everyone was filing toward the exit, one of my old teachers, Mr. Thornhill, freshman lit, tapped me on the shoulder. "You turned out all right, Mason." I smiled. "Yeah. I think I did." Then I walked out the front doors, down the steps I used to dread, into a night that didn't feel heavy anymore. I wasn't going back to anything. I was moving forward, with no ghosts left to chase me. A few weeks after the reunion, I got a letter. A real one. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name and my apartment number in the same stiff cursive I'd seen on birthday cards as a kid. I knew it was from her before I even opened it. My mom. Inside, 2 pages of carefully crafted guilt, the kind that reads like apology but smells like strategy. "I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened. About you. About where we went wrong. I know we made mistakes, but I also know we're still your family. That bond doesn't go away, Mason, no matter how far you run." She went on to say she and my dad were trying to rebuild. That Kyle was finally learning humility. And that maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something new. Then came the ask. Not directly, but hinted, woven into lines about financial stress, and how they were proud of my success and knew I could understand the burden of responsibility. Translation? They were still losing. And they thought maybe, just maybe, I'd finally be useful. I read it twice. Then folded it back up, set it on my kitchen counter, and stared at it while my tea boiled. The truth? A part of me wanted to burn it. Another part wanted to frame it as a trophy. But the biggest part of me? Didn't care anymore. That was the real victory. Not the speech. Not the degree. Not the job or the salary, or even the foreclosure notice I kept archived in my email. The win was this. They didn't live in my head anymore. I didn't need revenge to feel whole. I didn't need closure. I just needed distance. So I grabbed the letter, walked it straight to the trash, and dropped it in without a second thought. No rage. No sadness. No slow-motion dramatic pause. Just peace. They could build their new story without me. Rewrite the past however they wanted. Tell people I was bitter, ungrateful, lost. Let them. I was too busy building a life worth remembering. I didn't plan to go back to the house. Not ever. But one day, on a delivery run for the startup, I took a wrong turn outside the warehouse, and suddenly I was 2 streets away from it. The neighborhood hadn't changed. Same clipped lawns, same painfully beige mailboxes, same dog down the street that used to bark like it was auditioning for a horror movie. And there it was. The house. Not my house. Not anymore. Just a structure. Someone else lived there now. A different car in the driveway. A new coat of paint. Wind chimes on the porch where my mom used to yell at me for letting the screen door slam. I pulled over. Not close, just far enough to see without being seen. I sat there in silence, one hand still on the wheel, engine running, wondering what I thought I'd feel. Sadness? Nostalgia? Maybe something like regret? Nope. What I felt was nothing. Flat, clean nothing. This place used to own me. Every brick was a weight. Every floorboard remembered my name. But now, it was just an address with bad energy. A woman walked out, mid-30s, phone pressed to her ear, keys in one hand. 2 kids followed, one chasing the other with a plastic sword. They looked happy. Normal. And I realized something. This house finally had a shot at being what it pretended to be when I lived there. A real home. Because the ghosts were gone. I rolled down the window, just enough to let the wind in, and whispered under my breath like a benediction. Hope they tear out the rot with the drywall. Then I drove off. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Didn't look back once. Because here's the thing no one tells you about getting free. You don't hear the lock click. You just realize the door's been open for a while, and you're already outside. The next time someone asked about my family, I didn't flinch. It was during a team lunch at work, one of those get-to-know-you icebreakers. Do you have any siblings? Someone asked. I paused, then said, not really. And just like that, the world didn't end. No explanations, no awkward silence. Just a nod, and we moved on. Because I wasn't defined by them anymore. Not by their silence. Not by their praise I never got. Not by the beatings or the birthdays they forgot. I was my own story now. Not the sad kid. Not the revenge plot. Just a man who clawed his way out of the dark, and built something worth waking up for. I used to think healing would feel like fireworks. A big emotional moment where everything suddenly made sense and the pain just stopped. But that's not how it works. Healing felt like getting groceries without panicking over prices. Like waking up and realizing I hadn't thought about them in days. Like standing in my own kitchen, my name on the lease, sipping coffee I bought with money I earned, in a space I didn't have to tiptoe through. It's quiet. Unceremonious. But it's freedom. Some nights I still wake up thinking I'm back there. I'll hear a door slam in my building and sit up, heart racing, half expecting to hear my dad's boots in the hallway. But then I see the bookshelf I built. The desk with my nameplate. The degree on the wall. And I remember, I'm not theirs anymore. I never really was. I belonged to myself the whole time. I just had to fight like hell to prove it. A few months ago, I was invited to guest speak at a local high school career day. Not mine, thank God, but one nearby. A teacher I'd met through the college asked if I'd be willing to talk about resilience, career paths, that sort of thing. I almost said no. Walking into a high school again? The smells alone could trigger a full mental shutdown. But then I thought, what would I have needed to hear at 16? At 17? When I thought life ended at the edge of my parents' expectations? So I said yes. I stood in front of 30 juniors and seniors in a room that smelled like whiteboard markers and stale hallway pizza. Some slouched in their chairs. A few pretended not to listen. One kid sat near the back with his hoodie pulled tight, arms crossed, eyes down. I knew that posture. I was that posture. So I told them the truth. Not just the resumed stuff. The real stuff. About leaving home. About sleeping in a church basement. About carrying shame like luggage until I realized it wasn't mine to carry. I told them you don't need a perfect family to build a good life. When it ended, they clapped politely. But that kid in the hoodie? He didn't clap. He waited until the room cleared out, then walked up and said barely above a whisper, "Thanks. I needed that. That alone was worth everything. I turned 26 last week." No fanfare. Just dinner with friends, a few texts from people who matter, and one quiet moment where I stood at my window and realized, I'm good. Not perfect. Not healed all the way. But solid. I'm not the kid they broke. I'm not the son they threw away. I'm the man who walked through fire, barefoot, and came out building his own world. They lost a son. I found myself. And that was the real celebration.